All right, welcome to another episode of Raising Digital Humans. I'm JacobYoffee.
And I'm Jerri Penland Yoffee.
Today we're going to discuss a lot of what's going on in the AI world as it pertains to raising kids and how we see ourselves as humans going forward. In general, we try to take a tech-optimist point of view and very much are looking for actionable things that we can do with our kids, for ourselves, rather than just
so you know that's lightning. I mean, thunder. Is that thunder?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Goodness gracious.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Honestly, that was very doom and gloomy.
That was very doom
You're
and gloom.
let's take a optimistic approach, and then God said nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Nay.
Anyway.
I'll have to cut that out. All right. So in general, we try to take a tech optimist approach about everything rather than the doom and gloom that seems to kind of, pervade most of the media output. And we try to think of actionable items, actionable tasks, things that you can actually do to prepare for the coming AI tsunami and how it's going to affect our kids as they age. So we'll talk about 10 different points that we find to be relevant, timed to our own personal experiences with our children, and hopefully it can be of some value to you. The first thing that is very troublesome is the Character.AI case. In 2024, a mother named Megan Garcia sued Google and Character.AI after her 14-year-old son, Sewell, became compulsively attached to an AI chatbot character. It reportedly encouraged him when he expressed suicidal thoughts. This is very frightening, and there have been cases where the Google Gemini, it's been labeled as being sycophantic, and also ChatGPT is just very agreeable. And so they had to really kind of embed into these AI going forward that it's not just going to be agreeable. It's going to push back on certain things, but it had to be taught that. But in general, this brings us back to my favorite word of the year, discernment, where as kids grow up with these AI tools, they have to understand that they are just going to be agreeable, and you have to think for yourself.
I mean, this is the main case why I wanted to start raising digital humans. I don't think that we discuss online safety enough with our kids, and it's just not even from an AI standpoint. Like, I'm part of a group on Facebook. It talks about, all these parents ask questions about, specifically a lot we run into is Roblox. And so that discussion comes up a lot. And so I see a lot of parents who they let their kids play Roblox, and they're adamant about it. And, of course, there's the parents like myself that are very anti-Roblox. And so it's interesting to see kind of like the conversation that's being had about these things. And AI hasn't really hit that board yet. Mainly it's online gaming right now, I would say. But, this conversation about safety, really needs to be on the forefront of everything, not just AI, but online world, period.
What's really obvious is that our governments, whether it's local, federal, they're just unprepared for this. It's all moving so fast. The technology is developing, at light speed, at least it feels like it. And I really don't think that the government setup it's not really set up to handle things quickly.
Yeah.
It's moving like,
like a snail's pace. It's not even the way that it's set up. It's just the mindset of the people that are in the government. Because like you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt that just went in front of Congress, or was it Senate? One of the two. A couple of weeks ago to talk about AI and all of this stuff. And it's just like, anymore it seems like we have these big conversations with them and then just nothing happens. And so I think that's why we are focusing more on home implementation of these things, and then not just for an individual with children, but people themselves, downfalls, adults, that we can get sucked into, because even adults can fall victim to these things.
I heard an interview with Andrew Yang a few days ago, and it was interesting the way he described Congress, most of them, the majority of them are 70s, 80s. They're at a stage of life where they're not thinking. They're not even faced with how the AI could affect their kids because their kids are grown. And maybe have grandkids. Maybe they're concerned about their grandkids. I don't know. But at that point, maybe even their grandkids are past the age of kind of like danger and what we're talking about. And I feel like we really need to think for ourselves.
And so many of them are beyond the age of even like using it. You know what I mean? In the way that many of us are going to be using it. So understanding, like, I remember when Mark Zuckerberg went in front of them and basically was like talking about social media, and nobody even understood like what he was talking about, and so it's just like, that's kind of the scary thing about how old so many of our people in office are, and we're not getting political in any way, shape, or form here. What we're just trying to say is that this is why home implementation is really important.
Yes.
Because it's just like, no matter what, even if our government was doing things perfectly, you still have to do these things at home. You're an individual, your family is an individual family, you have to do these things for yourselves.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that this kind of touches on the next one, where it says parents and teens are seeing AI completely differently. Common Sense Media and Pew Research this week just released a major new survey of kids aged 12 to 17 and their parents. And the key stat, 57% of teens believe AI will help society in the long run. Parents are more evenly split. The head of research at Common Sense Media said kids are more optimistic than their parents, and their parents are more ambivalent. And I think that kind of tracks, because if I talk to colleagues in my industry who, maybe my age, older for sure, if they're using AI at all, it's basically like a souped up Google search for them. Or they might have it help kind of rewrite an email or kind of reword some things, but they're not really utilizing it to its full capability, whereas a young person is probably going to push and pull and try different things. It'd be more exploratory.
Yeah, I mean, a kid is still trying to figure out the future. And so a future, I think, for a kid is always going to be a bit more optimistic than it is for an adult, because we're already kind of set in our ways and in our jobs and everything. And so for a kid, they're going to be, more curious with what, what it can do and what it can, provide for their future.
Which is good and bad, because, teens are actively using the AI chatbots for schoolwork.
Yes.
And they're very confident about it, which is scary. And we've touched on this in the past, where the chatbots, they're only accessing data that was available to them, whether it's on the internet. I don't know if they're feeding textbooks or, direct data, PDF form into these chatbots, but you know what they say, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Well, if the chatbots are learning everything off the internet, and then a kid is asking the chatbot something, then they're just going to take it for the truth.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like, in a way, AI doesn't have full discernment yet, because it looks for patterns, And so, like, if you Google something like, I don't know, like, is an apple red? This is a horrible, but it, of course, is going to see other variations of it, and then it's going to kind of give you just a standardized, answer for that, but it's just like, how does a kid who doesn't have that full, at least part of their brain developed yet, going to be able to, discern, if the answers it's being given is specifically the correct one.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, and I don't know. That's something that we have to really impress upon kids. I think that, reasoning, kind of reading comprehension, all of these kind of critical thinking skills. I think we have to really kind of push our kids to reach for that, because I think it's going to become very easy just to rely more and more on the AI. The greatest example of this is Google Maps or Apple Maps. I think in the past you at least would have to use MapQuest, but like being able to read a map and understanding like how to get around your own city, I think a lot of people are relying more and more on these things.
But that's the scary thing, because like at times people have talked about like the whole grid just shutting down in general.
Right.
What's it called? Where they're saying like, and somebody's going to release some kind of thing.
Electromagnetic pulse.
Yeah, exactly. That would like kind of kill kind of everything. And so it's like, we need to be implementing these survival skills, to our kids now. But not just that. I mean, can a lot of us adults handle that?
Yeah.
And so it's just like, not that we need to be thinking in that dystopic kind of, lifestyle where you need to be like hoarding food and toilet paper and stuff like that. But I think like...
On that note, I think it was last year, I can't remember which month, I think it was in the first half of the year, Spain got hit with something and like the entire country's power grid went down. And a good friend of ours lives in Madrid, and but he had lived in America for 20 years, and he said he woke up, and when that happened, he was like, oh my God, we have to go to the store, we got to get food, we got to get water, toilet paper, we got to freak out. And then they leave the apartment and they go outside. Nobody in Spain was panicking. They were like, oh, it's going to get taken care of. Their thought was they went straight to the bars, because they were like, we need to drink all the beer before it goes bad. And everybody just had a day off of work and was just hanging out until they figured it out.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess kind of it does show the American mindset versus the...
we, I think, tend to panic.
Yeah, we do tend to panic. I mean, I think then that kind of underlines the idea of like, we're going to discuss more is about peace of mind.
Sure.
How do you bring more peace of mind into your home and into your day to day?
Yeah.
So you can think critically, because if we're always in panic, I mean, it's just like everything shuts down.
Yeah.
And that's not just like you as an individual that might be listening to this, everybody, so it's like, how do we get to a place where we kind of can see things in more of a clearer type of way? And I guess maybe that's going to the bar and drinking the beer before it goes bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, this touches on the kind of the fear we were talking about with the kids using the AI. So in China, where education is famously cutthroat, I think that's our view here in America, that the Chinese are outworking us when it comes to, I mean, almost everything. But parents are using AI to make interactive learning games, grade homework, and even break through language barriers, which is one thing that we are eager to explore, and we've been trying to do that, but using AI as a tool for us parents to get our kids, better set up for their future. Well, they're doing it already in China in droves. One mom used an AI translation tool so her 9-year-old could practice conversational English. I mean, it's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
90% plus of Chinese respondents in a 2025 KPMG global survey said they feel optimistic about AI, which is definitely, in the U.S., it's just over 50%.
Yeah.
The Chinese educational tech market built around AI is now worth $43 billion. And I was just reading yesterday that there are some local cities and jurisdictions that are embedding OpenClaw infrastructure into their government entities. It seems like they are fully embracing this as much as they can.
For me, this is difficult, though, because I want to push more for removing tech more from kids' lives. Do you know what I mean? Like, how many studies are coming out that we're seeing that having tech in schools has completely helped decline our grades, for our kids, or, oversaturation of using a phone, like all of these things that are coming out. I mean, it's just like, how do we do a healthy mix of the two? I think is going to be the main question here, because I'm not, poo-pooing anything that they're doing. I think that's really fascinating to have your kid have a conversation, in another language like that. I think, doing Spanish would be probably good for here in the U.S.
Right.
But it's just like, where's the limit, I guess? Does it depend on age? Like, what do we...
I think balance, as your dad always says, moderation is key, right? I think that you're right. It's not healthy. You can't set your kid down in front of an AI and be like, all right, teach them and just expect it to be great. You have to be involved.
I think that it really takes out the human side of things too, though, because, I mean, you think about, when you ask all the AIs, and we've brought this up before about like, what is the thing that we need to be making sure that we're doing more of to help us in the future? And all of them tell you to be more human, you know, have more empathy, have more, you know, creativity, these things. And so it's like, well, if we're, to me, you know, relying so much upon the AIs, then it's kind of knocking that down some, you know, so like you said, it's like we need to teach our kids how to use these things in a healthy way, you know, but still expect them to go outside. And in a way, maybe have them go to school and still use a paper and pencil.
Oh, 100%.
You know? Because it's just like, I just am so anti these pads that the kids are using. And it's not, you know, just from the standpoint of like, my kid comes home and he's like, oh yeah, we used the pads for an hour today. It's like, oh great. It's the fact that they're not even like taking YouTube off of these pads. And like, they're not at all concerned with what the kids are doing on them, you know, so that just feels so irresponsible.
It does,
you know?
in a way. Yeah. Well, again, I that goes back to like, I don't think we can rely on anyone else. It's the parents are going to have to shoulder this responsibility, because we're the only ones that can adapt in the moment. We can change immediately. Whereas these institutions, whether it's school or the governments or the, I mean, we're not going to rely on the corporations to do it. Social media
I mean,
giants
I think that, you know, if parents are concerned about those things being used in school, then we need to just be able to have the ability to opt out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know if that's even possible, if they've built the curriculum around using it.
I mean, I don't know. That's a conversation to have with the school board.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I will be
speaking
having.
Speaking of creativity, this is really interesting, actually. This is from only 2 months ago, January 2026. Landmark study, University of Montreal and the Scientific Reports Nature Portfolio. So researchers at the University of Montreal, including AI luminary Yoshua Bengio, ran the largest direct creativity comparison ever. They had AI models, including ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and others, versus 100,000 human participants. This is insane. 100,000 people. What they found, GPT-4 now outperforms the average human on divergent linguistic creativity tasks. But I think that's the point. Average human. However, the most creative humans still clearly beat the best AI models.
Now, are the AI models still being prompted though by humans, or is it just, are they creating on their own?
I don't know. I don't know the specifics of the of the test, but I think the takeaway is that it's just the way it is now, where the most creative humans can actually succeed in a creative field, you know, whereas like the average person, their creativity, if you put an average person in a room and say, paint me a picture, I mean, how great is it going to be? I mean, on average,
but I mean, that's just typical though.
That's typical, right? So it seems like the most creative people can still beat AI, even if a human is using AI, which is, it goes back to, I think it was over a year ago, I was listening to a podcast, and I don't know who it was, but they said that AI it's all humans are going to be the same, because we all have access to AI. So the most brilliant people using AI are just going to be, they're going to rise up past where they could have been. And then the person at the bottom will rise up, but the difference between the two will still be the same as it is now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has to go also down to, I think, human desire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think a human has the desire to understand and to create and to do these things. But I mean, AIs don't have those yet.
Yeah, I don't know if AIs would, that might be one of the most human things is to have desire.
Yeah, desire and wanting to understand, and all of these things are really important. And I think that does, go back to your kids, wanting to teach them to always have curiosity, to always, want to know, but putting, I guess, restrictions on AI. I mean, it's just such a difficult conversation to have, because we want to have positive, outlooks on these things, but we also want to talk about the bad things that come along with it too. I mean, I think
we have to be a realist about it.
Yeah.
And I go back to it's not going to go away just because we choose not to use it. It's here. We're going to be faced with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's already wrapping around us.
I mean, who knows what AI is going to be like in a couple of years? I mean, will it still be readily available like it is now? Because, I mean, you can use ChatGPT essentially for free. You're just not going to be getting, some of those, incentives of like it remembering certain things or, so I just think that it is important that, we adults kind of just use it a little bit in a way to figure out ways to make our lives maybe a little more streamlined or come up with future ideas for ourselves and our home and, have conversation. I mean, they'll have honest conversations with you. There's no reason for them to lie.
Right.
They don't care either way.
Right.
So it's just like if you have an honest conversation with these things, like I'm interested in implementing these things in my home, like how can I do them safely? It will give you answers.
Right.
So
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, this next topic I think kind of touches on what you're saying. Like our 7-year-old is making a movie. He's just discovered the Indiana Jones franchise and is just both boys are all in on it.
They got the Indiana Jones hats and
and so he's making a movie and he's cast himself as the lead and he's directing it. I'm helping him shoot it and we're editing it together in DaVinci Resolve. And we're really trying to support and foster this level of creativity. And he's kind of understanding like editing and how the shots are going to work. And then when he's watching films, he's noticing more things. And we've used AI to like make the poster and kind of animate the poster just for a section. But outside of that, we're not really using it. And I think that as parents, we need to support this sort of thing because AI will be a tool that perhaps he could use later if he wants to continue making films. But learning how to do it the right way first so that you understand what AI can bring to the table, I think is smart rather than, I think it's really easy now. You can go on and type in some stuff like that viral video, like let's have Brad Pitt fight Tom Cruise on the top of a skyscraper. Like that's, I mean, it'll do it and it'll look pretty damn good, but it doesn't I don't find any joy in having the AI just do all of that for you.
I mean, I guess I'd like find that stuff to be useless. I don't understand why people make stuff like that. I never will, I mean, of course, because people laugh and it's entertaining, but at the same time, like,
well, that's because we're still in the although there are arguments that we're leaving it, but we've been in the attention economy. And so getting attention is the only thing. There's that Logan Paul, his whole thing is like getting eyeballs is winning. You get the attention, you've won. It hasn't, Kanye was a part of that.
Good or bad,
it has no no point whether or not it was valuable content that you've made or something. But there are arguments to say that we're now getting into more of the knowledge economy where people are actively seeking out information that will augment their lives, will help them, in some way, shape, or form, whether it's productivity or safety or, and I think that's important now. I think that might be a big shift. Now, whether or not young people feel that way, I have no idea.
I mean, I think that it's important to at least start with all of this stuff with you as a parent, with your kids. Like we said, like our 7-year-old has been, using some of this stuff alongside you. It's not like he's just going on the computer and doing it himself, or we're handing him a tablet or any of this stuff. So it's, it comes down to them learning healthy habits in the curiosity of using them first alongside parents in, the right way.
Correct.
Don't just hand your kid a phone and just be like, okay, let's, they can download Claude and have a conversation with it. It's like, no, I mean, I personally am on the anti kids and phone train. So it's just, I think it's gonna be a balance to figure out. It's gonna be a balance to figure that out where your home, lies. So
I think we have to. It's a lot. I think it's a daily discussion, and you've got to adapt as things change. And as they, he's only 7, so it's not like he can type into the computer at all. So I mean, it's a very slow interaction if he's on his own right now.
Well, I mean, of
know
course,
that'll speed up.
But I mean, if he had a phone though, he can talk right into it. So it's not like,
Yep.
It's
and with
impossible.
the Google Gemini, you can talk, you hit live, and you can just talk to it, and
Yeah.
it'll talk back, and you can interrupt it, and it's pretty incredible. Well, I mean, speaking of that, the next topic is AI as babysitter trap. London's School of Economic researchers found that kids are often not consciously choosing to use AI. It's just embedded invisibly in apps all around us. It's in Snapchat, search engine, design tools. They're swimming in it without knowing. The researchers call this the background AI problem. Kids absorb it passively before the parents even notice that it's there.
Oh, yeah. That's a good
and
point. Yeah.
people have been pointing this out for over a year now, because it's in everything that we're using.
And we've talked about that. You know,
Yeah.
it being Siri or, you know, just our TV where you talk into the TV, like find this show, you know, so it's, you know, people have the Alexas in their home and stuff like that. So it is 100%. It's been a part of our lives longer than I think we realize.
Sure.
You know?
And there's rumors that, you know, Apple, who has not really been involved in this AI game, they don't have an LLM they're developing. They're, you know, just like, you know, Facebook has one,
Yeah.
Google has one, but Apple has largely been silent,
yeah.
you know. However, no one is really making hardware for the AI, and Apple turns out to be kind of the best hardware you can use for it because of their unified memory structure.
Yeah.
So there are rumors that, you know, Apple could release, you know, on their platform or their OS or something where they could have like an OpenClaw AI system built into it.
Yeah.
Where you turn on your computer and it's like having Jarvis already in it, and it knows your Apple ID, and it just knows everything.
Yeah.
And you could just talk to the computer like Star Trek style.
Yeah.
And it would just do everything, which would, man, that would open up so many worries.
Yeah, they would be like in the show Silicon Valley. They'd be the hardware, you know, memory holder.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
The Pied Piper.
The Pied
you know?
Piper. That's exactly.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess when it comes down to it, what we're kind of trying to figure out is what your home individually, you know, requires, you know, what you want your kids to be doing. You know, if you're concerned about AI and your kid has an iPad, I mean, because there are a lot of 7-year-olds that have iPads. Ours does not.
Right.
But your home might have one. And don't ever think that we're like poo-pooing. Like, your home is your, you know, it's, what's the word I'm looking
Your
for?
responsibility.
Not your responsibility. No, your home is your business.
Yeah.
You know, it's not my business. It's
Yeah.
your business. You know, so if you're worried and you're concerned about AIs on there, just make sure, you know, you're paying attention to what apps your kids are using, because there are games, I mean, that even have messaging on them. You know, so it's not, I'm just not talking about like Minecraft or Roblox. I'm talking about, there was like some just, the parents were talking about just some simple game apps they downloaded and saw that it had a messaging, you know, messenger section to it.
Right.
You know, so I think that's the thing. Like, you're concerned about AI, like we said, being in the background of these things, and, you know, you're handing your kid a device. You know, let's just figure out the safeties that would go along with that, you know.
Yeah, I think you've been saying a lot is just being concerned about safety for the kids.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, but that's as an adult being aware of what your kids are doing. And I think that we've kind of, in a way, become passive to our own lives in a way. Like, some, you know, parents, we do, and I'm not saying we don't do this, but like, there are times when we've gone out to dinner and the boys are really restless, and we'll hand them our phones to watch Netflix or YouTube or something like that. And we're guilty of that as well.
Sure.
You know, but it's just like, you know, we can't always use these things as babysitters in a way when your kids, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's like, you read this a lot, that raising kids right now is like, well, maybe it's, but basically they said it's the most challenging that it's ever been.
Yeah.
Like, how can we really know that? But
yeah. And it's like, I don't want parents to ever watch this and think that I'm like chastising them for that, because you know, we understand.
Right.
You know, it's not, it's hard. Being a parent is hard.
Yeah.
You know, and in today's world, we have to worry about all those little things that our parents didn't have to worry about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is I think curating your life, you know, to make sure that you're paying attention more to what your kids are doing on their, their devices, their phones, their, this type of stuff.
Well, not to pile on, but the next one, students can't reason. Teachers across the U.S. are now actively sounding the alarm. Fortune ran a major piece quoting educators describing what they're calling a crisis in kids' ability to think. The pattern, students offload tasks to AI. They get better grades, become more dependent on the AI. Critical thinking measurably declines. It's a positive feedback loop toward fragility. Wharton research confirms that even when students know that on-demand AI help is hurting their long-term, they keep using it anyway. And I think it becomes like a crutch, which is really terrifying because then they're going to lose even more, the discernment. They're going to lose the critical thinking, the reading comprehension. They'll just rely like, AI, give me the answer.
Yeah. And there's this one, she's a psychologist, for like families and stuff like that. And she's been talking a lot about stuff like that, about like, you're preparing your kid now for being an adult. And so it's like having your kids do specific things now, like the idea of like the one I listened to recently, it was losing. You need to help your kid understand like that, how that's a necessary evil. So when you're an adult and you don't get the promotion, or your brother or sister gets the big house before you do, or stuff like that. It's, reframing those ideas. And so we can't forget that these little people are the future, and so they are going to be adults, and they're going to be adults longer than they are kids. And so, the thing is that we have to be preparing them to be an adult, no matter what. So,
well, there's things like delayed gratification is a big one. I think that's really, honestly, the idea of patience is one of really kind of an underutilized teaching tool.
Yeah, and that's why it's probably better to take your kids to the library or even just use Google.
Yeah.
The old-fashioned way. Google has AI in it now, though. So, how can you web browse without,
I don't know,
having AI affect that? That's
Firefox. I don't know.
Does Firefox have?
It's just a browser.
It's just a browser. Okay. Yeah. Use a different browser, and have them scroll through and, figure that stuff out.
One
first.
tool I was reading about the other day is, your kid asks a question, what do you think? And have them think through it. Or, you want to do anything, you say, well, what do you think? Have them try to like look at it and come up with an idea, get the mind flowing. Even just making the movie, I'll ask him, well, what do you think we should do? How should we do this? And just he'll first answer is always, I don't know. And, you got to get them kind of trying to figure it out because they need to make mistakes and understand, oh, that wasn't a good idea. We should have done it this way. Because, now, complicated answers can just be given to you. Like, whereas when we were growing up, you might have a question and, you could get some pieces of information from books or from whatever it is, but you wouldn't just get the exact answer.
Yeah.
And now you can, which is like, we've never had. It's so thrilling.
Yeah.
And I think that we know the difference. So we're like, okay, that's really cool. But wait, maybe is that we'll still question it. But if I was 7 or 10, I would be like, oh, that's the answer. Let's just do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny because our 3-year-old has been asking me a lot of questions lately. And sometimes I'll just be like, I don't know. What do you think? And not because I'm like trying to be a good parent or anything, but sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
And so like the other day he was like, where'd the bunny go? And I was like, I don't know. Where do you think he went? And he was like, I don't know. I think a hole opened in the ground and he fell in it. He didn't say that. But, just something kind of goofy like that.
Well, let's keep doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
encouraging ground opening up and I was falling in.
Yeah. Let's encourage that. Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, what's next?
The question every school is fumbling. Brookings Institution report. This is from not even a month ago. They published a major report, A New Direction for Students in an AI World. Prosper, Prepare, Protect. It synthesized 400-plus research articles, hundreds of educator interviews, and a Delphi panel. The core finding here. Young learners without foundational knowledge are especially vulnerable to accepting AI-generated misinformation as fact and develop unrealistic expectations about learning ease, becoming less willing to engage in the hard stuff. This is exactly what we've been saying all along. They did a huge study just to prove what I think is plainly obvious. young people without foundational knowledge are just going to accept what you tell them or what they read from these LLMs.
Yeah, and that's why I think curriculum really needs to change. It just does.
Right. And I even think that, one of the lessons might be identifying misinformation, so that the students, you test them.
Yeah.
The students will be tested on whether or not what they're reading is fact. And so maybe in schools, part of the quizzing could be, hey, here's 4 options for the answer. Identify the ones that are wrong.
Yeah.
They all seem correct. And so they have to kind of use their critical thinking. I think that would be a pretty powerful answer.
Yeah. I mean, in the long run, and I apologize, I have to go get my son from school. But for me, because, and I'm a lot of parents, your kids are your world. I mean, they mean everything to you. And so we as parents have to be willing to go in front of the school boards, to go to the PTA and do these things and say, hey, the world is changing. What do we do in schools? Take away maybe the laptops and this stuff, but also start helping to do more reasoning training and stuff like that. I think that there needs to be more of a discussion between parents and teachers, unfortunately. And I'm sure teachers are like, ugh, but
it's a lot on their shoulders.
Parents, there's a lot on teachers' shoulders, but we as parents need to take more of that on as well.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get more into this. It's only becoming more complicated, and every day we're having more experiences that help kind of shine the light on what direction we should be taking things. But stay tuned. More content coming your way. So like and subscribe. Yeah.